November 2nd, 1998, I was able to marry my best friend. We've been together, and this is our 24th anniversary. So blessed and honored to have you in my life. I know that we haven't got to spend a whole lot of time together lately since we've been on the road, but hey, I can't wait to see what God has in store for the next 24, 48, however long we have left. I'm just thankful that I get to do it with you. I dedicate this episode to you. I love you and I appreciate you. I'm so thankful that you're able to stay home with little Rose Lee this time around. Enjoy her. I love you, and I'll see you soon. Me and Ezekiel's still on the road. We're not in Arkansas anymore. We've already been back to Indiana for a few days. Got to celebrate our 24th anniversary, me and my wife, and now we are in Memphis, Tennessee. Go grab yourself a nice hot cup of coffee. We'll talk about things that we've got to experience on the road and some things that are coming up. So we'll talk to you soon. Well, me and Ezekiel had a great time in Arkansas. God really showed up, and we had some great services. God really blessed us while we were there, and we got to make some great friendships in Arkansas that we're looking forward to see everybody. And whenever we get to NYC later in November, hopefully we can see you all there. We will have a table. Please stop by and see us. More than likely, you'll get a chance to see all of us there this time. My wife and my daughter, we're actually going to go up and get them the week before, and they're going to come down and spend the rest of our time in Tennessee with us. But we've been having a great time on the road. We've got to meet a lot of amazing people. Right now, we're actually staying right outside of Memphis with Brother Johnson. Pastor Johnson has us in evangelist quarters here. He's taking good care of us, and it's just been a great time on the road. We've got to experience quite a few things, being back and forth we went from Arkansas. Well, we went from Indiana to Arkansas, back to Indiana, down to Tennessee. So we got to experience quite a bit there. On our way down to Arkansas, we was kind of on a time crunch. We drove by and there was a gun show. We was able to stop at that and kind of do some looking around. Today, as a matter of fact, me and Ezekiel was out and about, and we was able to get a lot done. We was going around. We was looking for some stuff. We went to a couple of shops. Ezekiel got a haircut. Then we went and got some food, and we found out that we was really close to a Bass Pro. So we type it in. We get to driving down through there, and we see a pyramid in town. I'm like, hey, because we had just been talking about the pyramids in Indianapolis, and as we get closer, we see that it's the Bass Pro. Well, he gets online, he Googles it, and it's actually the largest Bass Pro Shop in the world. So it was really cool to experience that and to be able to be there with him while he experienced that as well. I was able to FaceTime Adriana and let her see it. She's a big outdoors person. We love to go fishing together. She likes the outdoors. And I'm going to try, hopefully, Lord willing, I'll be able to get her over there whenever we get them down to Tennessee here in a couple of weeks. Even if we have to, go a little bit out of our way, it would be a great experience for her to see that. So we're looking forward to that. While on deputation, we had our first Tennessee service right here a couple of days ago. It was about 35 minutes from where we're staying. We was in a little town called Drummond's, Tennessee. We had a great service there. God really showed up, and he just moved in a mighty way. It wasn't your typical deputation style service. God had some other things in store, and we was able to pray and just have a wonderful service. It was so amazing, and we're looking forward to our next services here. We're excited about tomorrow. Tomorrow night, me and Ezekiel will be going over into Memphis, and we'll be with Brother Smith, dear friend of ours. We're looking forward to seeing the Smith family and just share what God's done over the past couple of years. We was actually with Brother Smith last time he was down in the Mississippi district. He's right there on the line. If you're in Arkansas, you may get Brother Smith. If you're in West Tennessee, you may get Brother Smith. If you're in Mississippi, you may get Brother Smith because he's just right there, But it's a blessing that he's always willing to take in missionaries. He's got a heart for missions, and we're excited to be in service with him. While we've been on this deputation, though, it's been great to share what God is doing in Papua New Guinea. It never ceases to blow my mind. We'll get up there, and it's never the same service. I mean, anybody that's ever been to a number of deputation services with us, you'll know that it's the same, but it's different every time. You never know what God's going to do, and we always want to give Him reign in those services. If He wants to take it one direction, we'll just let Him take it. But I want to talk a little bit about the service that we was able to experience last Sunday, not this Sunday that we just had, but the one before that. We was down in Arkansas, and I just want to share a few things that, and we're not going to go into great detail on those, but I just want to say that there was a prophetic word spoken over myself, my son, and our family while we was at Pastor Keith Stokes' church there in Wilson, and we received that word, and it wasn't 3 hours that word began to come forth, and exactly what was prophesied happened. And then, we go from that service out to Brother Nooner's. We was with him Sunday afternoon, and we pull in, and we go inside and start setting up. And they have pre-service prayer, and then they dismiss for classes. Well, we got there about halfway through what the classes should have been, and they was just having a hallelujah good time. I mean, the Holy Ghost was getting poured out. It went from a pre-service prayer to a prayer meeting, and we was able to be there with them for that. And God just he began to just move in such a mighty way, and it was such a blessing to be able to be there. And that's what I want to talk about a little bit today, is that pre-service prayer, not just pre-service prayer, but prayer in general. We go to so many churches, and you get in this routine. You go in, you get everything going, and you kind of say a really quick something or whatever, or even throughout the day. A lot of people are guilty of being at that point where it's like, well, I've got so much to do. I really don't have an extra however many minutes I need to pray. And we don't put time limits on that, because you may pray for 5, 10, 20 minutes. You may pray for an hour, It's the quality of the prayer that counts. But you go to, whenever you travel as much as we do, you get to see a lot, and it's always a blessing. And you can always tell whenever you're at a praying church, right? I mean, you can always tell. You always tell. And whenever we went into Brother Nooner's church, me and Ezekiel, we just kind of soaked it in, And we was telling him, we was like, he asked, what we thought about the service. We was like, look, man, we walked into a wonderful service, and we walked out of a wonderful service, because God just showed up. And when He did, I mean, it was just, He blew the top off of it. And when we got up there, it made things easier whenever we was preaching the deputation service. It made things easier whenever it came to sharing the needs. I mean, it was just a smoother flow. And that's because the people in the house were praying, and they was asking God, to move all of this stuff out of their life so that they can make room for Him. And they done that before, we got up. And you could tell throughout the worship, you could tell throughout the preaching, you could tell throughout the entire service. And it was just a wonderful, refreshing thing to see. And, we was actually able, after the service, we was actually able to hang out and fellowship with the church members. Ezekiel, he got to hang out with their youth for quite a while. I got to spend some time with Brother Nooner and talk to him. And they had their fall party there that day. And cool thing is, me and Ezekiel, we had to run back to where we was staying. We had to get a change of clothes, because we didn't realize that, that we was going to be in two services. We did realize it. We just didn't account for it. We was going to be in two services, and and then have the party afterwards. So we went back. We changed. By the time we got back, we pull in. There's like ambulances and fire trucks and all this stuff going on, and it's like, oh Lord, what in the world, So we pull down in there and we start talking to people, and come to find out there was a lady that was in the service and she was expecting, and her water broke at the fall party. So they was able to get her out of there and get her down to the hospital and get everything taken care of there. But it was just refreshing to have that type of service. A lot of people think whenever you got a missionary coming, you got to have this itinerary or this program to go by, and I'm not saying we know that God is a God of an order. He definitely is a God of order, and he reigns in those services. But what we have to understand is we can't program him out, right? We have a missionary come in, we do 3 songs, we have him get up, we have him speak, we're out of here by this time, and everybody's happy. But what's awesome is when we get to go to those services, and even not services, while we was in Arkansas, there was a cookout one night, and it's like, hey, y'all want to come over? And we was like, yeah, why not? We got to actually spend time with some of the saints of that church, the pastor of that church, the elders of that church. It was just wonderful. And it's those types of relationships that really, really make a difference, because we go into a service and they get to see the preacher side of it. They get to see and hear everything going on in Papua New Guinea. They don't get asked any questions unless it's real quick questions at the table or whatever. But whenever you have those intimate moments, where it's like, all right, we're having a night at our church. You're more than welcome to come. We're having chili cook-off or whatever. We've had a few of those. We had one in Michigan. We had one somewhere else. It's really cool to be able to experience that kind of stuff. But whenever we get that fellowship, that's where it's key. So the 2 takeaways I want you to take from this podcast, and I'm winding this one up pretty quick. I don't have a coffee pot where I'm at, and I don't have any coffee on me. So hey, it's going to be a quick one. So you guys get to experience, a little less wind there. But the 2 takeaways are pre-service prayer and prayer in general. Make sure you're praying, because you're either hot or cold, right? If you're lukewarm, he'll spew you out of his mouth. So we don't want to be lukewarm saints. We want to make sure that we stay on fire, and we want to make sure that we're praying before service. We want to make sure we're praying every day at home. Paul said, I die daily. And if we're not repenting every single day, then who are we? The other thing is the fellowship. If you guys are having something at your church, you have a missionary coming through, especially the marshals. If you have something going on and you're like, well, we don't know if they would want to come. We do. I mean, we love that fellowship. So make sure that if you're having something, you have a missionary coming through. I'm sure that most of them would enjoy, as long as they have the time, they would enjoy to kind of hang out with you, rub elbows with you, and let you see that side of things. And it's a great blessing not only for the church members, but it's also a great blessing for us. So with that being said, just make sure that you're praying and make sure that you're fellowshipping. Those are 2 very important things in our lives. So I'll talk to you next week. God bless you. We love you. We appreciate you. I hope we get to see you all at NYC. God bless. Thank you for listening to Coffee with a Missionary. Please don't forget to rate, review, subscribe to this podcast, follow us on social media, and go to anchor.com to find out how to support us monthly. God bless.